Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video we are going to be doing the exterior of the new Stitch house that we got in the Stitch bundle in the most recent update. Now I did record this on live, so if any of you were in the live stream you would have seen me kind of do this and talk through what I was doing, and we kind of worked together to do it together. So if you haven't caught a live stream from me before, I do stream about 3 times a week usually, and they're usually scheduled up on the channel so you know when I'll be live. But I decided to do this build on stream so we could all do it together, and then I thought obviously I'd make it into a video for those of you who couldn't be there or wanted to see a more condensed version of doing this. I obviously put this house down on my Dazzle Beach, which I've recently started redoing. We've been doing it together on stream and figuring out how to kind of do the design and layout together, but I wanted to get a video up of doing this house because I love it so much, so let's get started. So to start off, I placed the tea house into this back corner. Now I love this spot for the bigger houses on the beach because you have a lot of room to decorate around the outside, and because I knew I wanted to make a lot of seating and a lot of kind of different elements of this, I knew I'd need a big space, so I decided to go for this back spot. And I started off by placing in some of the tables from the bundle and figuring out how I could get them all to work, how I could get all the different elements of the things from the bundle into the build, and I wanted to make sure I included everything. So I started figuring out the layout, working out how I wanted to arrange things, how I could make it all organised, and how it would look in the end run. So that's what I started with. Once I'd put out the main items from the bundle itself, I then went in to my furniture menu and I started pulling out everything I thought would be good in here and I would end up using. So I pulled out a bunch of different lampposts, lights, barrels, things like that I knew I'd probably want to utilise in here, and started placing them out in front of the build so I could get a good idea of how many items I had, and started slotting some of those in spots that I knew they would work before I kind of figured out how I wanted to keep everything laid out with all this extra furniture that I wanted to include. One of the other larger items I ended up including in here was the Moana pool. I hadn't actually thought about putting this in here, but I knew I obviously wanted to include it on my beach somewhere, and as Moana is on the little island by Skull Rock for me, there is no room for this pool by her actual house, so I decided to pop it in here. It meant that I just had an extra item here, and it also felt like it was kind of this nice beachside cafe with its own pool, and it kind of just gave it a bit more of a structured element to it. It also meant I could figure out how to fill the spot on the left of the entrance to the cave, which I knew I wanted to leave open, and to be able to create a kind of like farmer's market on one side and then the kind of like casual pool area on the right hand side. Once I finished placing down all the furniture I knew I'd probably end up using, I then started rearranging it into the spots I want it to be. Now, with the layout of this area, as it has this kind of like big grassy patch and it kind of has its own border between the grass and the sand, I wanted to kind of follow along with this when creating a kind of like foliage border or furniture border. So I figured out how that looked, how I could manage that before I then started making sure the layout was ready before going in with some trees. Now for trees in here, you can obviously see the main ones I went for were palm trees. I like to use these obviously in the beach because they just have the most beachy feel to them. I do throughout the biome use some other types of trees as well, but for this area I really wanted to have a main focus on this tropical look with all the different types of palm trees. I started by placing these around the kind of bordered meeting between the sand and the grass to kind of give it this really nice clean border, make it feel like this is on the side of the beach and you kind of come out of this little beach shack house and you go straight onto the beach. So I used a bunch of palm trees as well as some of the bigger tropical beach pieces. I really like using these to block areas out and kind of fill up areas that are looking a bit sparse, because working with palm trees is great, but obviously because they're so small and so thin, you either need a lot of them to be able to like really cover an area, or it ends up looking a bit gappy in places. So I like using those bigger pieces to make it look really overgrown and have that much tighter look. And then I went in with some of the rock pieces and made a little rock pathway leading to the mystical cave, just so that I can always access it if I need to, and it kind of just has this extra little pathway going through. And then I finished up some of the palm trees around the side before I started figuring out where to put in the naturally spawning flowers and shells. I like keeping these in the biome and including them in the build, and this area is perfect for them because it is obviously on grass, which means that the flowers look more natural, and the shells are a really nice little touch to just kind of pop about and bring a little bit of colour to it. Once I'd done that, I went in between all the tree areas and started adding in some foliage. I didn't want to do too much foliage because I didn't want to overdo it. I still wanted it to look kind of sparse like a beach and have those elements of the sea in there, but I did include some of the brighter green bushes to bulk coat those edges, and also added some of the little Eternity R ones to bring that really strong tropical feel. I really love using these in here, and those bright greens just make everything else pop. So I did add those around the border to try and figure out how I could make it as covered over as possible whilst also keeping that really nice natural beachy look. After that, I went in and added some beach grass to make this grassy area look more covered over before I finished off the build. And as you can see, this is the final build. I have made it sunset so you can see, and as you can see, the entrance is slightly different now because we did finish doing the boardwalk area on stream. So at some point I will do an updated beach tour, but for now I just wanted to show what I did here. So we have the really cute wooden pathway leading up to the main tea house, which as you can see is just gorgeous. It glows really nicely at the night time, and all the elements around it just make it pop. We've got the ice cream cart, shave cart around the front, and then we have our first two sets of tables which I've popped some drinks on. We've obviously got a lot of lights and a lot of foliage around to border it, as well as a little ice cream stand. And then we have the really gorgeous hedgeway and archway to lead us to the rock spot at the back, just so I can always access that. As we come out of there and head back to the left, as you can see, there is obviously the continuation of the tree border, and then we have our other two tables, which again I've popped some drinks and food on. And then behind that, as you can see, we have got the really cool food cart, like vegetable cart, as well as some of the vegetable and fruit stands out the front of it. I wanted this to feel like the shop kind of had like a farmer's market attached to it, and opposite that we have our pool, which just fits perfectly in this little spot and just adds to the tropical vibe. The food cart and stands are surrounded by some barrels and crates to make it look like this is where all the excess stock is, and I just felt like it had this really nice vibe, as though people would come here and buy their fresh goods as well as visit the tea house for a nice drink. So here are some final shots of the build. I really love how this turned out. As you can see, obviously, as I said, the outside looks slightly different now, like I've put Goofy's stall nearby as well as the boardwalk, which we did together on stream, but this is the actual final tea house and I love how this looks. I really wanted to incorporate everything that was in the bundle, and I think I've managed to do that really well and kind of make it all work together really well. I hope at some point we can put some more food and stuff on those tables, but for now I think it is a really cute and cozy summery spot. And as you can see at sunset, everything is just so bright and colourful. I just really love how this looks in this little corner, and I'm happy it is finally a statement piece inside my valley. Let me know down below what you guys think of this build. Do you like this spot for the tea house? Have you put it anywhere else, or have you turned yours into a house, like an actual home or something like that? I have actually recorded the interior of this house, so it will be coming at some point. So if you do want to see that, let me know down below, because I created like a little kind of summery tea house in here, which is, I just love how it turned out. But that will be coming on the channel at some point soon, so let me know if you're excited for that. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure you like and subscribe before you leave today. It means so much to me and helps out the channel so much. We are so close to 1.8k subs, so any help getting that would be much appreciated. And as I said at the start, this was recorded during a live stream. We were chatting the whole way through, so if you do want to hang out in live streams, make sure you check my community tab for my stream schedule every single week, and I always schedule up my streams a little bit in advance just so you're aware of when they're going to be and what time. But I'd love for you to hang out with me there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.